I'm going to take everybody on a trip to Indonesia.
Oh, lovely.
For my magnificent choice of Mystics in Bali from 1981. Now, this is and I make no secret about this, is an absolute favourite of mine. First became aware of it, I think it was probably early 2000s, maybe. It was released by quite a niche at the time British DVD label called Mondo Macabro, and who since relocated to the States and have become a pretty well-known boutique label. It was one of their first titles. They released Mystics in Bali in the UK first, and it would eventually get released in America on DVD several years later. I believe not with the same special features, but with a better looking print. But I haven't seen the American DVD, as obviously I've got the British one. To be quite honest, it blew my mind. If you've not heard of it, this is absolutely worth, if you can get hold of it, this is absolutely worth checking out. The term batshit crazy is oft overused, I think, these days. And to be fair, there's a lot of like psychotronic cinema that you could apply that term to. But Mystics in Bali absolutely wears it, and wears it well. It's absolutely mad. The plot, as it is, concerns a young lady called Kathy. Now, it's not clear quite where she comes from. I believe when it came out in certain territories, she was Australian, but I think for the majority of us, she was American. But anyway, she journeys from America, let's say, to Bali to learn black magic, as you do. Allegedly, she's an anthropologist, but that's never really explained within the film. So through her boyfriend, who appears to be a local resident, he introduces her to the Queen of Liak. Now, Liak is apparently in Balinese folklore a very strong and powerful type of black magic. So obviously he's introduced her so she can get a handle on this and learn these dark arts. But this is not a good idea, because as they meet over subsequent nights, things don't quite pan out the way she wants them to be. For example, there's a couple of sort of transformation scenes. One where they both transform into pigs. I don't know if you remember that one.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And then there's a scene, I think that it's supposed to be the following night, where they transform into snakes. But basically, the absolute showstopper is, well, it's oft repeated in the film, but there's a couple of scenes where this black magic queen conjures Kathy's head and spinal column to be literally removed from her torso, and to fly around and to suck the blood from women and anybody really. But in one scene, and I'm not quite sure how much detail I should go into, there's a pregnant woman lying legs astride on the bed, and the said flying head and spinal column makes an appearance and then proceeds to suck the blood from between her legs, which, I mean, I've seen a lot over the years. I've never seen anything like this. It is absolutely astounding. But one scene, you'll never forget it, whether you like it or not. So basically, it's down to a local priest and the boyfriend to try and save Kathy from the Queen. And obviously, I wouldn't want to spoil the ending for you, but you have to go and see it to find out what happens. So yeah, I mean, this is a what I would say is a classic example of Indonesian exploitation. As I say, based on Balinese folklore. It's directed by, if I can pronounce his name, H. Chut Dilal, I think, who is a bit of a kingpin when it comes to Balinese exploitation. He also directed a couple of other classics also put out on the Mondo Macabro DVD label. Amongst those are Dangerous Seductress, which I've seen, and that's another classic, and the brilliant Lady Terminator, which is absolutely fantastic. No prizes for guessing which direction they took with that one. Indonesian exploitation is quite interesting. Apparently there was a law back in the 80s where if you wanted to import foreign films for exhibition, you had to literally, for every 5 that you imported, you had to make one. And I think there was government grants going about. So this really was a very sort of fertile period for Indonesia. So that is why you came up with all these different exploitation films. They were either based on local folklore, or they were riffing on popular films in the West, as you know, these territories often did. Obviously, the government in the end took umbrage with the sorts of films that were being produced around that time, and they kind of tried to censor a lot what was coming out. So what you got was films like, there's another film called The Devil's Sword, which basically has a lot of subtext, which is anti-government and anti-censorship, but dressed up in within the plot. So it was quite interesting what actually happened. One of the everlasting or lingering things that you're left with, and I've got this in my notes, is the cackling of the witch, which I think you'll probably hear on the trailer. But once you hear that, memorable. It's extremely memorable. You'll never forget it. Yeah. And so much so that it's actually used in the trailer reel and main credits for the DVD label Mondo Macabro. And also, it's worth mentioning, as you get with these countries that have dubious copyright laws, you get sound effects that are ripped from Western films, and the dubbing is absolutely terrible. I mean, I think it adds to the charm. Might put some people off, but it's really, really bad. But yeah, if you like flying heads, if you like seeing unborn babies get sucked out of wombs, let's be honest, let's not mince our words. And if you like flying heads with spinal columns, this is the film for you. It's absolutely mad, but it is brilliant. Matt, what did you think?
Well, if you are conscious this is our first podcast and our listeners don't really know us that well yet, if you think Simon is maybe overselling the craziness of Mystics in Bali, then
I'm underselling it.
I'm here basically to vouch for everything that Simon's just said. Now, I first saw Mystics in Bali over 20 years ago, before we'd even met.
Yeah.
But I'm fairly certain that the copy that I saw when staying overnight at a mutual friend's house was your copy.
That was my DVD.
Yes. Yeah. At the time, that this mutual friend had been very instrumental in broadening my knowledge in horror cinema. Yeah, at the time I'd been going through a pretty heavy indoctrination into the world of Italian cannibal and zombie movies and assorted video nasties. But despite all the depraved movies and heinous imagery that I was first subjected to around that time, Mystics in Bali still stood out and stayed with me. You kindly lent me this copy of the film so that I could reacquaint myself with the film ahead of this episode. And it did not disappoint. Despite all the years that have passed since I first watched it, and all the films I've seen since then, I just absolutely loved it. It's, I mean, you've alluded obviously and explained about the whole scene with the hovering disembodied head with the trailing entrails, entering a room and sucking and devouring an unborn child out of a pregnant woman. It's not an image that fades from your memory very soon, and that was from when I first saw it up until now. That's kind of the abiding memory that I've always taken away from it. You mentioned about Kathy. I think I read some. I believe she wasn't an actress, was she? She was. I think she was a German tourist.
Oh, was she really? I didn't know that.
I believe she was a German tourist that was holidaying in Indonesia and was basically roped into the into being in the production. Yeah. But obviously, with the wonders of dubbing, you never know if she's an Australian, American. No, depends whatever market you're selling. Selling the film to. But
I think I read somewhere that they were very keen on having a Caucasian face in it because they thought they could sell it to the West. Yeah. Obviously, they weren't really considering what else they were doing in the film regarding the plot and flying heads, but I think that's the reason that they got her, well, not her, but they got a white face in essentially.
Yeah. Well, the other thing as well is when you watching Mystics in Bali, and obviously we'll be coming on shortly to my choice of a midnight film, but it was astonishing for me, watching this film around was the serendipity of our first two films that we've chosen as midnight films, the plot similarities from the film that I've chosen for my midnight movie, because as you say, the Queen of the Liak uses the blood of these unborn children as a kind of substance, if you will, to help bring back her youth.
Very good. Yes.
So I'm not going to reveal quite yet what my film is, but there's a few parallels with what we're going to be talking about just coming up. I think it's also worth mentioning. You talk about obviously Balinesian folk horror. It's also worth mentioning that Mystics of Bali does get a mention in a fantastic documentary on the history of folk horror from all around the world called Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched.
Oh, I forgot it was mentioned.
Yeah,
in that.
right. So
okay.
it's
That's interesting.
That's something, if you have an interest in this avenue of cinema, then that's a documentary that's well worth checking out.
Yeah, it's really good.
Not surprisingly, it was quite actually difficult to find some history on the theatrical.
Yes, I bet.
I mean, it's mostly famous as a bit of a video rarity, but I do believe that the film was released theatrically in Indonesia in 1981. And also, it did play at the Leeds International Film Festival in 2011.
Oh, did it?
And in 2022, it was featured at the Istanbul Film Festival.
Wow!
So it's still doing the theatrical rounds. All these years later.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah.
Availability, though, very difficult. I can attest to.
Yeah, absolutely. So the UK DVD, well out of print. I don't know what that goes for now. The US DVD, the same. Will we ever see a Blu-ray? It just depends on the existing elements of what's available. I've not had any rumours of it, so maybe if it never comes out on Blu-ray, then somebody will re-release it on DVD. I doubt Mondo have got the rights to it anymore, but we'll have to wait and see, really.
Well, here's a plea to anybody listening out there.
Yeah, put it out.
Let's do what we can to get Mystics of Bali out there, because it's certainly a film that has to be seen to be believed.
Yeah, can we have a commentary from Kathy?
Yes.
And the Queen of Liak as well.
Indeed. Brilliant. Mystics in Bali, our first midnight film.
Classic.